Hey everyone, it's Michael from Notefolds, and today I've got this great nautical themed card to show to you, and it's got a lot of great elements on here, from multiple layers of background paper. We've got some banners along the bottom. You can see we've got this map with some rivets in it, fish, anchor, twine, button, a lot of elements coming together to make a really cool card, and it's actually not too bad to make, so let's go ahead and get started. To make this card, we're going to start with the standard base of 5.5 by 4.25. We have it in this white color here. And we're going to take a few pieces for the background. The first one we'll start with is this 2.25 by 4 inch in navy. And we'll just leave a nice 1/8 inch border around the blue piece. Next, we're going to take a 3 by 4 piece of red, and we'll place that directly above the navy, making sure to leave a border of 1/8 of an inch. So now we have the base background done. I'm going to take a couple of pieces here. This is from the Carta Bella set, and this piece is 3 3/4 by 2 1/8 inch. And you can see it is double-sided. We're going to use the other side for the top part. The name of this paper pack is Ahoy There. We're going to place this piece down onto the navy piece, again leaving a nice 1/8 inch border around. Finally, we're going to take the other side of this chevron pattern. We've got this nice beach with shells. We're going to place that onto the red. And again, we're going to leave a nice 1/8 inch border all the way around. So now we have our background pieces done. It's time to make our embellishments. I'm going to stamp 3 of these banners, and this is from the Stampin' Up! Banner set. And I'm going to also use some of my real red from Stampin' Up! Now that I have all of my banners stamped, I'm going to take the coordinating punch, also from Stampin' Up!, and use that to punch out the banners. When you're using this punch, it's a good idea to have the bottom actually facing up to you. That way you can line up your stamped image. And we'll just go down the line and get the other 3 banners. I've got just a piece of white paper here that I'm going to stamp with this big world stamp. And this stamp is about 2 3/4 by 4 inches. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Night of Navy ink to kind of match that navy background. Since this is a big stamp, make sure that you get good even pressure all the way across. And when you feel like you've got it down nice and firm, go ahead and remove that stamp. Now we have a great image there. What we're going to do next is we're going to take one of our nestabilities. This is 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, and I'm just going to run it through the Big Shot so that I have this nice little shield. Here's my world map after I ran it through the nestability. You can see we have this nice map on this shield shape. Now, to add a little bit of extra to this, we're going to take some rivets and just use our crocodile, and we'll put 1 rivet into each of the 4 corners, and I'm choosing this silver. I went ahead and punched in all 4 of the corners here. Now these are going to be just purely for decoration. Going to set my last rivet now, and I've just placed it down into the hole that I punched. One thing to note when you're setting these rivets is you don't have to squeeze very hard. Just squeeze until it goes all the way down, and then you can let go. You can see now we have 4 rivets in each of the corners. take your world image, and then we're going to take some dimensionals and we're going to put those all across the back of this. So here you can see that I've put all of my dimensionals on the back of my world map. And we're going to turn it over. We want to make sure that we have the top oriented the correct way. We're just going to place that down. And now let's bring in our 3 banners. We're going to line those up along the bottom. So we'll turn those over also, and I'm just going to use a little bit of Scotch tape under here to attach them, and you won't be able to see this anyway, so I think it'll be okay. And I'm going to kind of just have that a little bit of an angle. You can kind of play around with the angles, see what works best for you. And there's my last banner being placed down. And now when we turn this over, we can see that we have those 3 banners coming out from underneath the world map. Now, if we bring the card back into the mix, we're actually going to place this down now. So I've already taken the backing off of the dimensionals, so make sure you do that before you place it down. And we're just going to kind of play with where we want this to be. Do you want it up higher, down lower? But we definitely want to make sure that we're covering the seam in between the paper with our map. So I'm going to put it just about right here. I like where that is. That way I can still see some of that chevron blue down below. And just make sure that we have this nice and centered, and then place it down. I'm going to take my 3 fish here. This is from Graphic 45, the By the Sea pack. Go ahead and place it down onto my acrylic block, make it fit there. And then I'm just going to use some Bermuda Bay to stamp that in. Push that down nice and evenly, and when you feel like you got a good image, go ahead and pull that up. And there we have our 3 fish. Went ahead and I cut out with some detail scissors around these 3 fish. Then I added some dimensionals onto the back of it. Bring the card back in now, and I'm going to place the fish on top of the map. And you can kind of play around with where you want them to go. I'm just going to have them go right above the ship that you can see down there. And they kind of make a nice complement to the 3 banners that we have below, as well as the color of the chevron paper. I'm going to take this anchor, which is also from that Graphic 45 By the Sea set, and we'll take our crumb cake from Stampin' Up, and we're just going to stamp the anchor onto some white paper. There's our anchor. Now that it's stamped, we're going to cut it out with some detail scissors. I've got my anchor cut out now, and I want to put a rivet right at the top of that anchor. So I've got my crocodile again, and just go ahead and hole punch right up toward the top with the 1/8 inch. And then we'll take the silver rivet. Go ahead and give that a good squeeze. Now we have a rivet. I've got some twine here that I've doubled up, and I'm going to push the doubled up end through the rivet. And then once you have that through, just take the 2 ends and we're going to loop them through, and then you'll just pull it tight. I've got this 2-hold button here, and what I'm going to do is take the 2 ends and put one through one side and then the other through the other side. And I'm just going to tie a traditional square knot, which is, the knot of sailors. And the way that you do that is you're going to take your left and right ends and you're going to do left over right and then loop it through. Pull it tight, and then we're going to do right over left and loop that through. And that's how you'll get a square knot. Once you've got your knot lined up where you want it on this anchor embellishment, go ahead and put a dimensional on the back of the anchor like I did here. Go ahead and take that adhesive backing off, and we'll bring the card back in, and we're just going to place that anchor up toward the top so it kind of overlaps the map, and you'll see that it will just sit right on top of that map really nicely. Now to get this button glued down, we're actually going to take some hot glue. And I know working with this stuff can be tricky, so we're just going to get a good amount on there. Try not to get any of the little spindlies, and then we'll just place that down wherever we like. Hold that in place for a minute. Then once it's nicely in place, you could just take a pair of scissors and we'll cut off the excess on our twine. And there we have it. There's our finished nautical themed card. I think it turned out really great. And I'd love to see if you come up with a variation on this card. So if you do, make sure to post it in the comments below. See you next time.